You find yourself lost in Irvingland. Last time, Dr. Smith was out with the children making a time capsule when they encountered what Smith is calling a werewolf.
Look him straight in the eye. It's the only way to hold him at bay.
If you ask me, a straight shot would be a lot better.
No, it would be useless.
I'm gonna try it anyway. Blast him, robot! Blast him again!
Turns out it was a guy in a Chinese knockoff of a Care Bears costume. Fun fact, Earth werewolves are the only ones who aren't wearing shoes when they change back to human form. That's because our planet only has one moon. This planet has two. Dr. Smith is acting strange at the dinner table, especially when Judy mentions an herb called wolf's foot.
That's because we saw a real werewolf tonight.
A what?
A werewolf. It attacked us.
Dr. Smith, is there something we should know?
I think we'd best wait until we're all a bit calmer. The children were very frightened.
Penny and I weren't so scared, Dr. Smith. It was just you.
Will was the one who came up with the idea for driving it away while you stood there screaming. John says, "Are you sure it was a werewolf? We've all heard the legends, but there's never been any basis in fact shown for them." Smith is indignant.
Well, then how about going out on a safari and bringing him back alive?
By all means, Professor, go right ahead, and good luck to you, sir.
Not me, Smith. You.
Suddenly, Dr. Smith is going to be far too busy working on the water pipeline to go on any safari. Imagine that.
How's it coming, Dr. Smith?
Oh, I shall probably not survive the day. Work, too much work. And you know I have an extremely delicate back.
Here, I brought you something to drink.
Oh, very thoughtful of you, my boy.
Would you like me to help you, Dr. Smith? If we could get the pipeline finished early, you could go on that safari later.
Dr. Smith has a whole litany of excuses why it'll take until the moons are no longer full to finish the pipeline, so I guess nobody will believe they really saw a werewolf. Oh well. But being Smith, his mouth just cannot stop moving.
If only this pipeline were finished, then, my boy, you would see Dr. Smith at his best. Stalking the beast, cornering him, cowering him with a look.
Boy, I sure would hate to see him miss a chance like that.
I think he's willing to risk it. But Will has an idea.
There. He is programmed for 5,000 shovels full. That ought to keep him busy till we get back.
Isn't that how Dr. Smith usually digs the waterline ditches? They start their safari in broad daylight, which I don't pretend to understand, and find that someone has taken almost everything from their time capsule, and there are animal tracks leading from it.
Here. Strange. The spoor ends here.
He takes their guns before they know what happened. All he can seem to do is growl, but he makes it clear where he wants them to go. He leads them past a sign in some alien script and then to here.
This must be moon madness.
Golly.
Careful, fella. Careful. I have a very delicate back.
And we got here. Look at my goodness.
Right. She's from the planet Oki in the Muskogee system. Her name's Effa. Her brother is Keel.
What is it?
Well, that's a spaceship. Don't you know nothing?
But it's all open.
Oh, well, we got ways of closing it up. We just keep it that way to be sociable. Keel, where did you find these little earther creatures?
I'm waiting for Keel to shoot his own nose off. Believe it or not, we've already seen him 4 times on this show. Odd that we didn't recognize him. He'll be keeping their guns for now. They're cultivating some land, raising a crop, and then they'll be gone. Until then, they pretty much just want to be left alone. My only question is, which one of them is the werewolf? And that shack is their spaceship. It takes them everywhere they want to go. They've even been to Earth.
Earth?
Yeah. Only I didn't like it because there was too many people like you.
Valid point. But there's another member of this clan that we haven't met yet.
Ephra, I won't have it. Conversing with strangers again. You get back to the brew.
All right, Ma.
It's Mother, not Ma.
How do you do, madam?
And you, sir, and you, young man, are not at all welcome in this place. You may leave at once.
I'm sorry, those words are not in Dr. Smith's vocabulary.
But, madam, as I tried to explain to your daughter, we are merely on safari looking for a werewolf.
The werewolf. Very dubious pretext, one I can hardly accept. Werewolves are the unhealthy machinations of timid little minds.
Perfect for Dr. Smith then, but that doesn't explain Will and Penny.
Now be off with you.
But, madam...
Be off.
Yes. Yes.
And stay off!
Yes.
He does not know when to shut up. Let's get a peek at what they're growing.
You will be fed very soon. You hungry little devils, aren't you? Well, you won't have long to wait. And then, when you have provided for me and my family, all the rest of this land will be yours. All this land, and everything that's on it, every living thing.
Wait a minute, they devour everything on the planet? So you can only do this once, then you go away, leave a desolate and dead planet, then go to another planet and do it again. You destroy whole worlds for a little food. I don't think the Andronicans would approve of such waste.
There they were, a mother and her 2 children. A very handsome woman, a widow, I think. She's probably very lonely, not having a man around to help her with her planting.
We can already see what Smith's angle is going to be to try and get her to take him back to Earth. And in the excitement of meeting the new neighbors, he forgot all about the werewolf. Now he's starting to wonder if it was even real.
Slit trench dug, pipeline laid, water supply by gravity feed now available.
Thank you, dear boy. That will be all.
Is there nothing you'll do to get out of work, Smith?
That was my idea, Don.
I keep waiting for him to stick his tongue out.
Oh. Well, where is this fascinating family located, Smith? I think we'd all like to meet them.
Oh, you will, you will. They need a little more time to settle in. They're not quite ready to receive visitors.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah, with a shotgun.
I don't think Smith wanted them to know that part. He likes to try and control the narrative, and Will's directness keeps getting in the way. Later, Don and Judy discover a problem with the garden. Somebody's eating it.
Stay here. Hey, get away from there! That's our food supply!
Keel, put him down! Put him down! Keel, you put him down!
She says, sorry, food's in kind of short supply until we get our crop in. But she's lost her appetite for food.
Hey, you're a real handsome one. Does your face always hot up and turn red when you're spoken to?
I'll answer that. And the answer is to keep your hands to yourself, whoever you are.
She needs to borrow some seasoning powder and a certain hunky pilot.
It's a right pretty vehicle you got yourself there. Must have been to a heap of places.
No, just Earth and here. But we do hope to get off soon.
Well, I hope not before we get us our crops raised. Oh, well, what I mean is, well, you can all come over and join us for a meal.
Sure, that's what she means. Just make sure Dawn is there. And maybe Judy isn't.
Ephra, my dear girl. Well, what a pleasant surprise. Have you all met this charming young lady and her stalwart brother?
Thank you, Dr. Smith. That wasn't already awkward enough.
We have.
Yes, well, I guess we'd better get going now. Keel? Keel!
Give your dear mother my kindest regards. I did so much enjoy meeting her.
Didn't look like you enjoyed it.
And it turns out the new neighbors are night owls, and they're not very quiet about it.
Grow and multiply.
Flourish and provide. Layla,
Zela. Zela. Zela.
By now, I'm back at the ship finding myself some earplugs. I don't want to know.
Zela.
You should not have come. Earthly folks got no business here.
We heard the chanting, and we thought you wouldn't mind if we dropped in.
We wouldn't mind if you dropped out.
She won't answer any questions or entertain any conversation. She says, just leave.
What are you waiting for?
Ah, what strength of purpose you have, madam. There's nothing I admire more in a woman than rugged individualism and determination.
I regret I can't return the compliment, if that's what it was. I don't see anything about you worth admiring.
He's got his mind made up that if he just keeps talking, he might have a chance.
You will give me the honor of letting me call on you again? Tomorrow?
Why?
Well, for a neighborly chat.
I've no time for chats or neighbors. Go. Get lost.
I think he's trying to channel Professor Harold Hill, but he's not doing a very good job of it. That's either because he doesn't know how to do it, or because Harold Hill is a fictional character, not a real person who could be channeled.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I always say.
Well, I don't see what you expect to gain from giving them all this stuff.
Nothing. Only the exalted feeling one gets when one does things for others. Particularly when it's such a deserving little family.
Well, all right. If all you want out of it is a good feeling.
When was the last time Dr. Smith got excited about doing something selfless? Yeah, think about that. Something happened to those plants overnight.
Well, see what the wind blew in. Don't you ever take no for an answer.
I think you already know the answer to that since it's standing right in front of you.
If I did, dear lady, I'd give up one of the rare pleasures of my existence. A chance to gaze at you and all this splendor. Oh, I'm quite dazzled by it.
Does he ever stop talking?
I think you already know the answer to that, too. Again, the evidence is right there in front of you.
Can't you tell when you're not welcome, Dr. Smith?
You know the answer, Will. Everybody's asking questions they already know the answers to, and it's all about trying to get rid of Motormouth Smith. Thing is, no, he doesn't understand. It's inconceivable to him that there are human beings or creatures of similar composition who don't care for his august company, his brilliant repartee, his infinite wisdom. If I keep that up, I'm going to have to wash my own mouth out with soap. But that really is his psyche. He honestly thinks he's a cut above everybody else and the whole universe should recognize it, especially this woman he's hitting on. Now that he's thoroughly annoyed her and invaded her home without permission, it's time for formal introductions.
My name is Zachary Smith.
I'm underwhelmed. I suppose now you want to know mine.
If I may.
I am Sibylla.
Sibylla. That's beautiful.
You know the worst part about all this romantic junk he's spouting at her? It's starting to work.
There's music in that name and poetry. Like a great work of art. It's a name I could live with indefinitely.
This must be your exhaust stick.
Must you?
Well, I don't see why not. It's a lot more sensible than what you've been saying.
You've got a point there, Sonny.
Dr. Smith is already talking matrimony while Will wants to know more about the ship.
What was that about a work of art?
Your name, Sibylla. It's a name I could live with indefinitely. In close harmony with my own. Zachary, Sibylla, Sibylla, Zachary. May sing.
What kind of fuel do you use?
It's our own special brand.
Will says, now that your plants are grown, I guess you'll be leaving soon.
When our plants have been fed all the nourishment this planet has to offer.
What kind of nourishment?
If the boy's dull agricultural talk is annoying to you, Sibylla.
That's how we live, by agriculture. It's not his talk that's dull. It's yours.
She says that, but she's eating it up. It's been a long time since a man, or an acceptable facsimile thereof, has paid this much attention to her, and she likes it. And he's not letting up.
I've thought about you a lot, and the terrible burden of responsibility which you carry alone.
Yes, well, I'm not complaining.
But think what an added joy it would be if you had companionship. Someone to stand beside you as you traveled earthward.
You can land there just long enough for him to dump you and send you on your merry way.
Or any other place in the galaxy.
I would say nice save, but not really.
Someone to share your labor in the fields. To be a father to your children.
Oh.
Perhaps I spoke too soon, Sibylla.
Not too soon, Zachary, old boy. It's just too long.
He'll never learn. But as I said, she's enjoying this. She definitely wants more.
What are you fooling with that stuff for, Ma? You're pretty enough the way you are.
There's always room for a little improvement. He said I look radiant with joy at watching the little green things grow.
You gonna tell him the truth about them little green things if he comes around again?
Now she's a little torn. She wouldn't mind finding a way to keep him around.
I think that sweet talking of his is doing things to you, Ma.
Oh, pooh. Though I must say, it's been too long since I've been flattered so much. If our little green growing things would settle for 6 delicacies instead of 7, I might take Zachary with us. A woman needs sweet talk from time to time.
Too bad for Zachary. Plants are more important than potential suitors. Speaking of whom, he just showed up again with more of that sweet talk. Ephra can't handle it and storms off. Predictably, she storms straight to where Donna's working. She says, the crop's in, so we'll be leaving soon.
Sounds as though you're glad to see us go.
You haven't been exactly friendly neighbors now, have you?
Well, I could be right friendly if you'd only let me.
You mean like pay back that seasoning powder you borrowed? Or do you mean helping him work in the garden? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, we could go places together. Anywhere your little old heart desires. Why, we could set down any place and do us some planting and live off the fat of the land.
Sounds great. If Judy's okay with it, we'll be ready to go by tomorrow.
Don't that sound inviting?
Yes. But not for me.
Ouch! This girl does not take rejection well.
Oh, I could put a spell on you if I put my mind to it.
Go ahead. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Well, her brother is a werewolf, if someone hasn't figured that out already, so I suppose she could be a witch, but she needs Will's help.
Hey, there's something you could do for me.
What is it?
Well, we're going to be leaving soon, and there's something for remembrance I'd like to give that Donna before we do. Only thing is, I need a little something of his'n to go with it.
What do you need?
Just an itty-bitty lock of his hair is all.
How is Will supposed to get that? The only person in the crew who might have a chance would be Judy, and I'm sure she's just itching to help with this. The robot tells Will that Ephra is being deceptive. Will says, and Dr. Smith is at their place. I'd better go see about him. Except Dr. Smith isn't at their place.
Dr. Smith, have you seen Will anywhere?
Well, not for quite some time.
Are you packing?
Indeed I am.
But why?
I had wanted to make my announcement when everyone was present, but I really don't mind at all your being the first to know. Oh, come in, do come in.
He's having some of the biggest delusions of grandeur he's had yet.
But let me warn you, Dr. Smith. I've studied samples of some of the plants these people are growing, and they contain the deadliest virus I've ever seen under a microscope.
Nonsense, Professor. Your xenophobia is showing a fear of strangers.
With good scientific reason.
He's not to be dissuaded. Will discovers too late that he's not at the family's camp. That looks very alien and dangerous. I think I'll walk closer and see if I can get within grabby range of it. Werewolf in front, nasty plants behind, and Keel still has our guns. That confirms that Keel is the werewolf, and he takes orders from Ephra. He gets Will out of the plant, then Ephra chases him off. She's really concerned about Will's safety.
Did you give me that lock of hair? No. I'd have let you be eat up if I'd have known that. It's too late now, I reckon. Gotta be leaving. It's more than I can say for you and yours. Cute little fella.
And that's the last time we'll hear about that. Utterly pointless waste of run time. Will figures he'd better warn Dr. Smith. Guess who isn't listening?
I don't think you should stay here any longer.
I don't intend to, my boy. Very soon now, we shall be making a most eventful journey. Will, did your parents tell you that Sibylla and I are betrothed?
I can see that for myself, but I don't think much of it.
Maybe if you said something of substance, like Keel is the werewolf and these plants eat people, he might listen. But you've been around Dr. Smith too long, you're starting to get impossibly verbose like him.
Nobody asked you for your opinion, Sonny.
I'm just trying to figure out what you want with him.
Really, Will?
You're very precocious for an Earth child.
Old Zachary can't grasp that she likes the attention, even though she doesn't like him, and is fully prepared to feed him to the plants. He's got visions of Earth sugar plums dancing in his head. Will can't get through to him, so he says his goodbyes, goes back to the Jupiter 2, and reports everything he saw. The next morning, they're hearing strange noises.
Now I know what Ephra meant. Those plants would have eaten me. Look at them.
Done. Break out the gas guns.
Sibylla and her crew didn't count on the Robinsons having the ultimate weapon, weed killer.
Judy, you and Penny stay here, and after we've gone, close the door and don't open it for any reason.
Not even to let us back in, because we'll be plant zombies by the time we try to return. The poison is fast-acting and is doing a nice job on the monster plants. Meanwhile, Dr. Smith is learning about his new family.
Where's your brother Keel?
Oh, he's still out there. He hasn't finished his howling yet.
Did she say howling?
Sibylla says, yeah, when the moon's full, we have to keep an eye on him like this, but the rest of the time he's pretty easy to handle. You'll do fine with him. My son, the werewolf.
Ephra can be a trial at times, a real problem child. But I know you'll be masterful enough to handle her, too. Besides, she only practices her little tricks of witchcraft when she's bored or irritated. And then she does some pretty spooky things.
She says when the plants are eating, Ephra goes nuts, almost into a frenzy. She might suspend you way up in the air and make you watch. I suggest closing your eyes. It gets pretty messy when they eat.
What do the plants do, Sibylla?
They consume, Zachary. They consume everything. Until there's not a living thing left. Not a stick. Not a thing. Now, aren't you glad that you proposed to me and I accepted you? You're safe with us.
He's not so sure now. Plus, she's already made it clear there's no way she's taking him to Earth. She's been there and didn't like it, plus it's too far out of the way. So he gets to spend the rest of his life traveling the galaxy with an insane group of monstrous creatures, or go back to the Jupiter 2 and be plant food. I don't think those are the options he had in mind when he concocted this scheme.
Sibylla, I just thought of something. My tape recorder. I would be lost without it. I'd better go and get it.
Oh, no, you mustn't go back there now, Zachary. The plants are eating. Oh, no, you'll be swallowed alive. Zachary, please don't go. Zachary, come back. Just tell him that you're going to be his daddy, Zachary.
Zachary has had enough. He runs off screaming, which seems to be one of his most prominent abilities.
Just look what you've done. And all the trouble I took landing him. Not to mention listening to him. You go inside. Don't forget to brush your teeth.
Before or after he changes back? I can't find much to say about that whole sequence except it makes me laugh every time.
What a blessing. You're still here and alive. You dreadful woman.
I tried to warn you.
Yes, I know.
Come on, let's get at those roots. Grab one of these gas guns, Smith, and pitch it!
Those plants won't be consuming this planet thanks to the miracle of chemistry. I wonder how bad a crimp that puts in the family's plans.
Gone.
Oh, Dr. Smith, you didn't really know each other very well.
But we'd have made such sublime harmony together.
The kind of sublime harmony you were making when you ran hysterically back to the ship, shrieking about that dreadful woman. But that's just one of many things about this episode that don't make sense. Why do those plants have to consume an entire planet? Is this really the only job they can find to do? Is this really the only crop they can raise? What's the purpose of all this? Sibylla said something about feeding her family, so they live on salad that bites back? I don't get it. Ephra is a witch, but we have to take their word for it because we don't get to see her do anything. They just talk about it. It doesn't matter whether Keel is a werewolf or a humanoid. All he does is stand there and act goofy. He never genuinely attacked anybody. He stood there waving his arms and growling. He did the same thing when Dodden tried to chase his human form out of the garden. He serves no real purpose and doesn't even pop up that much. Those plants are magical and vicious and devour everything in sight, and a shot of Roundup wipes them out. Dr. Smith is prepared to go ahead with the marriage, even though Sibylla has made it clear they're not going anywhere near Earth. I don't see him doing that because he couldn't care less about her. He just wants a ride home. Nobody but Will and Dr. Smith gets any real screen time, so the episode feels unbalanced on top of everything else. I think my biggest problem was what I said at first. These people just don't make sense. Their crop doesn't make sense. After the plants destroy everything on the planet, then what? I assume they die because there's no more food. What's the point of that? I'm not even going to go into the whole hillbilly angle. That one leaves me baffled. But I know one thing for sure. I'm glad I'm not the one who has to rake up all those dead plants. The men are going off to find another source of water before the hot season arrives. Dr. Smith is staying behind with the rest of the girls.
Oh, what a pleasant evening it is. I think I shall sleep under the stars tonight.
Well, if you do, Dr. Smith, I'd advise you to move inside the force field.
Oh, come, madam. What could possibly happen on a quiet, peaceful evening like this?
Yes, he is foolish enough to ask that question.
Bumbling brutes! You've lost him. I'll have you punished for this, do you hear? Now pick up his trail. I want him found.
Keel's back, and he brought a friend. He got tired of farming and got a job as a prison guard, but so far it's not as much fun as he thought it would be. I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland.